the CDC is going back to a mask backup guidance. So maybe you've had your mask off because you're vaccinated. Now the CDC is changing its course, changing its guidance. We need to know how to put this into perspective. So today we have with us Patty Olinger, the executive director of GBAC, and also Dr. Gavin Macgregor-Skinner, the senior director of GBAC, to get their perspective on this. So let's just start. What's going on with this new mask backup guidance, their recommendations? It's not a mandate. What do you think, Gavin?
Oh, the federal government makes decisions based on new information. And everyone has to remember right now, Jeff, COVID-19 was a new disease in 2020. We hadn't seen this before. So the new information that's just come to hand on July the 9th was a new study that showed that both unvaccinated and vaccinated people, this is an emphasis here on vaccinated people, can be infected with the COVID-19 Delta variant. Remember this Delta variant that came from India and now has spread to over 111 countries? The Delta variant can infect both vaccinated and unvaccinated. But more importantly, Jeff, this new study showed that the Delta variant has 1,000 times more virus in the respiratory tract in both the unvaccinated and the vaccinated than any other of the variants of the COVID-19 virus that we've seen so far. So it's highly infectious. And that's where this decision was made based on data.
The one thing that we need to really make clear, though, because a lot of people are now questioning the vaccine. This is not a question on the efficacy of the vaccine or the effectiveness of the vaccine. The vaccine works. Those who are vaccinated do not get serious illness. For the most part, they are protected. Gavin and I and Jeff, I know that we're all vaccinated. We are protected from getting seriously ill. There's only rare cases where people become extremely seriously ill and being vaccinated. So it is extremely important to emphasize that the vaccine works and that we must stress getting vaccinated.
So let me ask this. Did we get rid of the masks too soon?
There's going to be a lot of speculation on that question alone. In retrospect, it's easy to be that, Monday morning quarterback, coach, or looking at it and saying, yes, we did. We probably did. Looking at now that we have this new data, this new information, the new science that shows that even with being vaccinated, we could transmit the virus, is that, what I've been trying to explain to people when I've been asked that question is looking at the numbers. We're trying to get to what we call herd immunity. And depending on who you talk to, that's 70 to 80% of the population that's vaccinated. And those are the numbers that we can count. And so when we're looking at that potential herd immunity, if we have a conference right now that has 1,000 people in it, and you have 50% that are vaccinated and 50% that are not, and then you have of that vaccinated group, a percentage, let's say 10%, that did not seroconvert, the vaccine didn't work for them. It didn't get them the protection. That means that about 550 of those people, I know I'm doing math, were not protected in that conference. So we're not at herd immunity yet. And so you have the majority of people that are still very vulnerable out there. And I think that's the really important, especially with this variant, is that we still have a population of very vulnerable individuals out there, and that we need to take that into consideration when we're looking at how we're going to mitigate and get through and get to the end of this pandemic.
Yeah, there have been comments about how the CDC says if you're going to go into a heavy populated area or where the infection is higher, the rates are higher, to mask up. What do we do with that? We don't know what is a crowd. What does all that mean? There's a map, a color-coded map that shows you the areas of the country that are maybe more affected than others, and that's going to change from day to day. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Patty's already mentioned about the math, and this is about the math, Jeff. When the federal government tells any US citizen to do anything, it creates a lot of emotion. Some say it's good, some say it's bad. But the more important thing, again, this decision that was just made yesterday was based on the math. And if you look at the maps that are out there, there's a time lag. It takes time to collect that data. But what we know in the last 2 weeks, just 2 weeks ago, that this Delta variant of the COVID-19 virus is now at high transmission. So CDC has a definition for high transmission. If 10 or more people per 10,000 population get infected with the COVID-19 in 7 days, that's classified as high transmission. That's 10 or more people per 10,000. That's high transmission. That's happening right now, this week, in 19 US states. It's happening in 3 out of 5. That's 3 out of every 5 US counties right now are reporting high transmission. So again, it's based on the math, it's based on your neighborhood where you live, but more importantly, it's so hard to get that information to know, should I wear the mask or not wear the mask? So right now, it's probably best just to wear the mask.
Yes, and so this map, which is based on the data, we'll just have to pay attention. I guess every day that could change. Anything final to add?
There's 2 things. One is that, yes, that map is really important to take a look at, especially if you're traveling, which brings up a really big issue. You know, we are a very, very mobile society. My son is going to be coming and visiting me in a couple of weeks. He's coming from one of those areas where it's more red, and I am in an area that is, I think, yellow or green. And so it's one of those things where you're having, we're going on vacation during the summertime. People are traveling. It's a mobile society. And so it's very easy for viruses to move and for infectious diseases to move. That's one thing to take into consideration. And the other is that, before we had vaccines, Gavin and I worked very closely with a lot of our GBAC star facilities in getting to reopen and how to reopen safely and to stay open, to be resilient to these things. And part of those mitigation strategies were wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, use alcohol hand sanitizer or hand sanitizer when you can't wash your hands. Don't touch, as Gavin will put it, don't touch your holes, and make sure that we're hygienically cleaning and disinfecting high touch points.
So a lot of those watching this today are wondering what our position is on that. So I assume cleaning and disinfecting surfaces is still a thing.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is, Jeff.
All right. I knew the answer to that, but I had to ask. So here's the thing. We're going to dig deeper into this with a GBAC TV Presents BioTalk. We'll do that next week. So I know many of you out there watching this have more questions. So we're going to put together a panel of experts and dig into this a little bit deeper. But this ISSA alert at least keeps you up to date on what ISSA and GBAC have to share with you today about this new guidance from the CDC. Thank you, Gavin and Patty.